and they created their own group training gym. Well, they've created a community, right? There's t-shirts, there's things like that. They mine social media. They have others do that, right? So that's built in. And there is a reason why I tell that story, because you as the business owner need to be thinking about that. You said it. How do you create this tribe, right? So they will refer to you when you create the tribe. And the tribe just isn't giving them a t-shirt, right? It is really creating an experience, a brand experience, but that brand experience resonates and tips along the way. So referrals become part of that culture, right? That culture is we bring business to this business, and you have to orchestrate it. Nothing happens by chance that is good. The only things that happen by chance are bad things, right? So you got to orchestrate them in your business. Then you also have to orchestrate those conversations like I had, and orchestrate the conversations that your staff had. I remember back in a past life, we had a client that was a chiropractor. The chiropractor knew that referrals were his best source of business. He had 5 people on staff. Those 5 people all got, in essence, company cars that they could. The caveat was they had to keep it clean. They had to keep it full of gas, right? They had to keep it up to date on the maintenance, but he bought the car for them. The final caveat is every month they had to deliver 5 referrals. And if they didn't deliver those referrals, they lost the car for that month. Well, the first month that they lose it, they're going to remember that, because now so if you think about, now maybe your business can't afford that, or maybe that just doesn't make sense for you, but how do you put that in every way? How do you harness the power of social media if you're a restaurant or if you're a B2C type business to cultivate and garner referrals, right? And utilize your folks. But it doesn't happen by chance. You have to orchestrate that along the way. If you're a B2B sales, how do you orchestrate LinkedIn of your clients, of your prospects, so that you can look for referrals? How do you harvest and look at those people that they know and ask them to introduce you, right? Just in the casual way that I did it. Hey, Nick, hopefully you enjoyed the experience that you and I had together, Micah. And I also just want to make sure that, the way for me to grow my business is really to introduce myself to new people, really, really smart people like yourself that have podcasts, right? And if you know other people that have podcasts, and I was a good guest, I'd love for you to introduce them to me. And I noticed on your LinkedIn, you knew these 4 people. I'd love to be introduced just casually through LinkedIn, and I'm going to treat them with respect and dignity, because it's just my way. And I noticed on Facebook, you knew these 6 people that probably would be good sources for me. Could you just do a real quick introduction and realize I'm going to treat them with respect, I'm going to treat them with dignity, and then gift something to the people that do that, right? And I think the problem is that business owners are, you said it earlier, they're just too cheap, right? Yeah. And because I don't fault them, we're going on to solve for X. We're going to the next problem. We're going to grow. We got kids, we got to get back to school, right? They got life. But so do your customers and your prospects. And so to think that they're just going to automatically refer to you is never going to happen. So think that through and orchestrate that.
Yeah, I mean, you laid out a lot of interesting points there. On the community front, let's be honest, Apple built $1 trillion company from community. That's literally how they built the brand Apple. They were the first company to use feedback from the community of consumers that consume their electronics products, and drive community interventions and contribution to what the next series and phase of their product was going to look like. And essentially in product development, they tapped into the quote focus group of the people who were buying their electronics, which is a brilliant way if you think about it. In consumer electronics, who else to design a product than your consumer? That's what they do. Another thing that you brought up, which I thought was interesting, the script, of course, that you gave about referrals was on target. And I want to just add to that, kind of break it out even more so. The more high stakes your firm is, the more high stakes of the delivery of your product or services to the individual to whom that service or product is being delivered, the more critical referrals actually become. I'll break that down. You mentioned a chiropractor. There's nothing more intimate and, dare we say, risky than someone manipulating your spine
Sure.
or your knees or your neck or your shoulder or your elbow. So the higher risk the interaction in the marketplace is for whatever the service or product is and how it interacts with you, the more important the referral strategy becomes. Like things for like nutrition, that's going inside your body, in your throat. Anything can happen, right? When you ingest something, you could have an allergy that you're not aware of. So knowing someone that has that allergy, has a similar allergy to you, that can talk about how they weren't affected, and maybe it puts you in the realm of being able to use it, that might help. And then of course, any kind of interventionist type of treatment that you might have. Home construction. Why? Because your ceiling has to hang over your head and the floor has to stay below your feet. And it has to be stable until you die or you move, at the very least. At least you want it to be stable until you die or you move. And so having someone who actually can do that with quality, because you want to have guests and you don't want to have screw pops coming out of your drywall. I say that because I just started a construction company, which is drywall and paint. And so, but the higher stakes the interaction or the transaction is, the more crucial referrals become, in my opinion.
I think so critical. And I think it's just the way you go about it, right? And I'm going to give you a tip because you got a construction company and you've got a drywall and painting company. We did this for another client back when I was at a marketing business, and we were kind of bashing on marketers a little bit. So but I was a good one, and we delivered results. And one of the things that we did was we would call it the public address letter. And the public address letter, especially with the EDDM, is so easy to get. You're shaking your head, so you maybe know this because we kind of published it in the book. But basically what it is, dear Mr. Luisi, I'm going to be servicing your client, your neighbors at 1301 Walnut Street on Thursday and Friday of next week. If there's any debris that comes from my job site, we try to keep it as clean as possible. But call me on this. This is my personal cell phone number, and I'll send my guys over. We'll get it clean.